Turns out that the biggest decluttering lie isn't about what to keep or toss, it's that clutter is your problem in the first place. Here's the truth bomb that is going to make Marie Kondo fans all over the place clutch their perfectly folded t-shirts. Clutter isn't your problem. Clutter is your nervous system's cry for help. You don't have a stuff problem, you have an energy problem, and that is showing up as stuff everywhere. And until you address why your nervous system is so dysregulated that you can't make decisions, you can't put things away, and you can't maintain systems for long, no amount of decluttering is going to stick. Now I know, I can practically hear the collective gasp from every organizing influencer on Instagram right now. What if I told you that almost everyone who tries to declutter fails, and it actually has nothing to do with willpower or the method that they choose? Because let's be honest, what actually happens? Most people, they dive in with enthusiasm. They spend entire weekends sorting through their stuff. They're filling donation bags. They feel amazing for about a week, but then they watch it all slowly come back and they're left really confused. The few people who are successful at maintaining organized homes, they've actually figured something else entirely. And you might notice this, but they usually have the rest of their life, their health, their energy, their routines on track. But nobody talks about this connection. Now, don't panic. I'm not saying everyone with clutter is a train wreck. I'm not saying you're a train wreck, but there might be a thing or two that we can work on here. So you know that friend who always has a spotless house? I guarantee she's not just naturally organized. She might be like the random 1%, but she's probably curated systems that support her energy instead of draining it. She's probably getting enough sleep. She's probably eating regularly. She might do a little bit of exercise here and there. And she's probably not just running on caffeine and chaos. I mean, some caffeine is fine, right? Right? Anyway, let me guess what you've tried. The Marie Kondo method. You spend hours holding every item up, asking if it sparked joy, only to realize that when you're exhausted, nothing sparks joy except maybe your bed. Or you're like, all of it should spark joy, I just can't tell, so you keep everything. Or the one room at a time approach. I love that one, but there are some nuances. You probably have decluttered your room perfectly, felt like a productivity goddess, and then the rest of your house exploded to compensate. Maybe you tried storage solutions. You bought beautiful bins, labels, and organizers thinking that the right system would save you. Your Pinterest board became a museum of good intentions and abandoned projects. Or of course, there's always the Fresh Start Monday approach. Remember those? How many of those a year do you do? Every Monday was going to be the Monday that you finally got your act together. We think the solution is in aisle 7 of the Container Store, right between the label makers and our broken dreams. But here's what actually happens when you try to declutter when you're running on fumes. Remember the weekend? You start strong. You're like, weekend warrior mode activated. You're gonna tackle everything and finally get your life together. This is your weekend. You had your breakfast, you have your boxes, but you open the door to the storage room and your heart drops. And by hour 3, deciding whether to keep a random cable feels overwhelming as choosing a man. Your brain literally cannot process one more decision. You get overwhelmed by the mess, and suddenly your kind of organized room looks like a tornado hit, and you're sitting in the middle wondering what you've done. By Sunday evening, you're exhausted. Nothing is finished. You shove everything into bags and you deal with it later. The shame spiral then begins because you feel like a failure again. Why do we keep doing this? Because within weeks, not only is the clutter back, but it has somehow multiplied because you've lost your faith in your ability to maintain anything. Think about when you've done your bedroom, for example. You feel so good, but by Thursday, you're throwing clean laundry on the chair because you're too tired to put it away. That's not laziness, that's biology. Have you ever thought that maybe the feelings that you have about your clutter is more important than the clutter itself? The shame is real because you feel like everyone else has figured out something that you're missing. You're embarrassed when people drop by unexpectedly. You avoid hosting anything because your house isn't ready. And I have so been there and try not to show how cranky I am if it happens. Anyway, you feel overwhelmed every time you walk into certain rooms. Your kitchen makes you want to order takeout before you even look at the fridge. Your bedroom does not feel restful, and that's one room that should feel restful, but instead it feels like another item on your to-do list. You're feeling defeated because you've tried so many times and nothing sticks. And you start to believe you're not an organized person. Like it's just some genetic trait that you missed out on. Do you know that panic when somebody says, "Can I use your bathroom?" And you're mentally reviewing the state of your toilet and remembering what's on the floor? Are there underwear on the floor? I don't know. The exhaustion is bone deep. You're tired of fighting your own space and you're tired of losing things. You're tired of feeling like your home is working against you instead of supporting you like it should. But here is why we think we have clutter. And that is actually wrong. What if the reason you think you're messy has nothing to do with the real reason why you're messy? We've been told we have clutter because we're lazy, we're undisciplined, or just not organized people. We think we need better systems, more storage, more stronger willpower. We blame ourselves for not being able to maintain what we declutter, thinking that we're not just trying hard enough, or we just don't care enough about our homes. Society has convinced us that messy people are just morally inferior humans who haven't discovered the magic of clear storage bins yet. Apparently, I just need to want it more. Like clutter is a personal trainer that I'm just not impressing as it's yelling at me to do more push-ups. We think if we just find the right system, the perfect method, the ideal storage solution, the right weekend, on, everything will just click into place. We'll finally be those people with Instagram-worthy homes. Here's why we actually have clutter. Your clutter has nothing to do with your character and everything to do with your beautiful brain and your nervous system. So number one, decision fatigue from being overwhelmed and exhausted. When our life systems of home and health are completely out of whack, every decision feels impossible. Where does this go? Becomes as overwhelming as the meaning of life. Number two, no energy to maintain the decluttered space. So you can declutter all you want, but if you don't have the energy to maintain it long term, you're just creating a prettier version of the same problem. Three, you're too tired to bother thinking about systems. When you're in survival mode, you don't have the mental bandwidth to create systems that keep both your home and your health from functioning. You're just trying to make it to bed at the end of the day. Four, survival mode. Just getting through the day. And not just today, but every day, for years. When you're in constant crisis mode, everything becomes a deal with it later pile. Five, emotional exhaustion, which leads to avoidance. I have been there, have you? When you're running on empty emotionally, facing your stuff feels overwhelming. So you just don't. You close the door, you ignore the pile, and you hope it magically resolves itself. And then you feel bad about yourself. Before I tackled my clutter, my deal with it later pile had formed its own small civilization with a mirror at one point. But what if your clutter is actually your body's way of waving a white flag? It's begging for help. Let's go deeper. Why do we stress shop? It's because we're dysregulated and seeking that tiny dopamine hit that makes us feel better for about 3.5 minutes. Why can't we make decisions about what to keep? Because decision fatigue from chronic stress has turned our brains into that spinning wheel of death on your computer. You know that wheel? We all hate that wheel. Why do we create I'll do with the later piles? It's because our nervous system is in survival mode, and survival mode doesn't have time for proper filing systems. Your brain is just trying to survive. Why do we avoid dealing with all of our stuff? Because when you're already overwhelmed, facing one more decision feels impossible. Now, I'm a retired ER nurse, and I've seen this pattern a lot. When people are chronically stressed, overwhelmed, running on empty, and survival mode, their ability to take care of themselves, let alone maintain their environment, completely breaks down. It's not a character flaw. It is biology. Your nervous system is designed to keep you alive and not to keep you organized. When it perceives a threat, even in chronic low-level stress, like your environment, it prioritizes immediate survival over long-term maintenance, even if that's what's causing the stress. The brain has basically become a cricket hiding in your garage, driving you up the wall. Here's the vicious cycle nobody talks about. Exhaustion creates clutter, and clutter creates exhaustion, right? It's like a crazy loop. When you're tired, you don't put things away properly. When things aren't put away properly, your environment becomes chaotic. And when your environment is chaotic, it drains your energy. And when your energy is drained, you're too tired to put things away properly. Visual clutter literally increases cortisol levels. Cortisol, and I've talked about this a lot, cortisol is something else. It's not terribly bad. It helps you wake up in the morning. But beyond that, it can disrupt your sleep. It crashes your energy, and it makes it nearly impossible to make good decisions about anything, including where should your stuff go. But here's the flip side. When you're exhausted from poor sleep, stress from unhealthy habits, or running on sugar and willpower, you don't have the mental energy to maintain or organize your space. Do you know how some people seem to effortlessly maintain beautiful, organized homes? They're not superhuman. They have energy. And they have energy because their environment supports them instead of draining them. Meanwhile, the rest of us are over here playing hide and seek with our car keys every morning and wondering why we keep feeling like we're losing at life. It's like being stuck on a hamster wheel, except the hamster wheel is made of laundry and lost receipts. So what if the real problem, it isn't your stuff, but it's the fact that nobody taught you that your home and your health are the same thing? I think life has just changed, right? Here's what nobody tells you. Your home and your health are not separate issues. They're not two different problems to solve. They're one integrated system, and when one breaks down, the other follows. Your home is part of your health, and your health is part of your home. They're so tightly intertwined that trying to fix one without fixing the other will be like trying to fix a car by only working on the engine while ignoring the transmission. If you understand cars, that would make sense. Yes. But here's the secret to an organized home that has nothing to do with organizing and everything to do with understanding that your home health is your health. Now, one thing that I talk about on this channel a lot is food, water, and shelter. Shelter is your home. Your shelter, your home should be supporting you, not the other way around. When you get home, you want to be like, I am so relaxed. These fundamental needs, food, water, and shelter, when they're properly working together, they give your energy back instead of constantly demanding it. So when we take care of ourselves at the fundamental level, we can take care of our home, and then it can start to take care of us. So think about food. Start with protein. We're gonna aim, I know you were like, what are we talking about? No, I'm serious, this is important. We're gonna aim for 30 grams per meal. This helps stabilize your blood sugar so you can actually think clearly enough to make decisions about your life and your stuff. And if you're like, it doesn't matter, I don't need to worry about that because at my age, or I'm so young, I don't need to, or I'm so old. No. This is so important. Everybody needs protein. Another thing that's important is cut back on sugar that's crashing your energy every single afternoon. Also, add more vegetables. Shoot for 5 servings a day. Your brain needs proper nutrition to handle decision making. This is exactly what we work on in the Mighty Circle. Last month, we did do vegetables. The month before, we did macros, including protein. Because when your blood sugar is stable, your body is properly nourished. Suddenly deciding where things go doesn't feel so impossible anymore. Another thing that's important is to get more sleep. I know, you're like revolutionary advice from a nurse, but seriously, when you're well rested, putting things away, it does not feel like climbing Mount Everest in flip-flops anymore, which would be hard, right? Sleep is when your brain processes decisions. It actually consolidates memories. So without adequate sleep, every choice feels overwhelming because your brain literally cannot function. We also want to support our nervous system. And a really good way to do that, especially in this day and age, is just getting more quiet time. Less screen time. I know. Here's how. We're going to start with 10 minutes of quiet in the morning before you check your phone. In the morning when I come down, I don't look at my phone. I will grab a cup of tea. I journal. I do some Bible time. Then I look at my phone. Now you're gonna end your day with 30 minutes of screen-free time before bed as well. Your dysregulated nervous system, it needs space to reset. And when you're constantly stimulated, your brain, it stays in fight or flight mode, which makes organizing feel like a threat instead of self-care. Another important thing is to create systems that work even when you're tired, because you will at sometimes be tired, and that is normal human behavior. I get tired every day. It's not personal failing, but we want to design our home for our worst day, not our best day. You want to make it so it's so easy to do every single thing. When I finally understood this connection, everything changed. I stopped trying to perfect my house while just running on willpower, and I started creating systems that worked with my real life and not against it. Your home, your food, your rest, these are not luxuries. They're your medicine. They are very important. They're the foundation of everything that everything else is built on. Because it turns out trying to organize while exhausted, it's like trying to fold fitted sheets while blindfolded. Technically possible, but why would you do that to yourself? Another thing that I really want to stress, because a lot of people don't realize this, but could it be that everything you've been told about health is missing the most important piece? Your home affects your sleep, your stress, your ability to make healthy food choices, and your mental clarity, and your overall sense of well-being. This actually isn't woo-woo, this is science. Environmental psychology shows us that our surroundings directly impact our behavior, our mood, and our health outcomes. Do you know the feeling how it feels like when you go to a hotel or even a spa versus a cluttered room? That's your nervous system responding to your environment. Your home can be medicine or it can be poison. The choice is yours. Because when you understand that your home is part of your health, everything changes. You stop seeing organizing as vanity, you start seeing it as self-care. You stop seeing healthy habits as separate from your environment, and you start seeing them as integrated and very important. This is exactly why in the Mighty Circle membership, we work on both each month. One area of the home, so quite often it'll be like maybe we'll do the kitchen, and one aspect of your health, like macronutrients, like carbohydrates, protein, and fat. How much of those do we have? Which is great, because at the end of each month, you've come that much further. Because we know that when you get support for both areas, you get out of survival mode and you start actually thriving. And we'd love to have you in the Mighty Circle as we all work to get healthier. Go to minimalisthome.ca/circle. We're not just decluttering, we're creating homes and routines that support your energy instead of draining it. Because a beautiful, organized space that you're too exhausted to enjoy is not actually serving you. But it has to start with supporting your energy and not just organizing your stuff. We understand that your home and your health are not separate problems to solve. They're one integrated system that need to work together. Now, I have mentioned the random person who is naturally very clean, and there's some very interesting psychology behind that. You can watch that video here. And I also get into a lot of the habits that we can take up to be that person who always has a clean home. So you can watch that here. I hope something great happens for you today. Please like, subscribe, give us a hype. Stay tidy and mighty. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.